So we actually jumped ahead and we had a lot of quotes from chapter 17. And now we are actually in chapter 17. So we're repeating some of it, but of course it's good to repeat it because then you'll actually remember what you learned in chapter 13, right? So we're in chapter 17, and the title of the chapter is Babylon the Great. So of course what happened was he saw this vision of a woman, right? And she was a harlot, she was a prostitute, and she's sitting on this beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, all right? And so the Bible says that John wondered with a great admiration when he saw. Now, admiration, it means to look at something, right? It doesn't actually mean like that you respect it. But nowadays we use the word admiration to mean like to admire something means like you think highly of it. But this actually just means he was just like kind of in awe of this woman. Man. And so the Bible says that he said to him, he said, I'm going to tell you the mystery, right? So he told him the mystery. And there are several things he said about the woman. So he said that the beast was and is not and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. So he said the beast was someone who had been alive and was no longer alive and was not alive in the time of John, was and is not, and shall ascend, so he's going to come out of the bottomless pit. So from what we understand, there must have been one of the emperors of Rome that was basically controlled by the devil, all right? And then that emperor had died, and he was not alive in the time of John, but the devil is going to ascend out of the bottomless pit and control some future world leader, and that future world leader is going to be very much like that previous person that had died. Now, in my opinion, the best person that would fit this is Nero. If you studied Roman history and you know what Nero was like, he was this evil, cruel, really arrogant, bloodthirsty tyrant, and he demanded everybody worship him, and he persecuted Christians, right? He persecuted Christians, and many of the Roman emperors persecuted Jews as well, and so that's what it says about the beast. Okay. Then he says the 7 heads, right? So the woman is sitting on the beast, but it says the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. All right. So Rome, there are 7 hills in Rome. It's called the 7 hills of Rome. Okay. So when it says the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and that's present tense in John's time, right? So John would understand that to be referring to Rome. As Rome is built on 7 hills. And then it says, and there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, which means in the time of John, 95 AD, 5 of them would be dead. So it's 5 kings in the past. 1 is, so one of them is still alive. In John's time, that was the Emperor Domitian. Okay, that he was the one who banished John to the island of Patmos. He was persecuting Christians, right? And the other is not yet come. So there's a 7th that hasn't come yet. So if we look at that pattern, it is most likely that the one that has not yet come is an emperor named Diocletian. And he started persecuting Christians around 303 AD, around that time, around 300 AD. He did the worst possible persecution, tried to totally wipe out Christianity. But then he didn't succeed, and he ended up stepping down as emperor. And then there was a battle between several generals to see who would become the next emperor of Rome. And Constantine, who had already become a Christian before, he became the emperor of Rome. And when Constantine became the emperor, he actually issued what's called, I was just showing it to my son Aiden yesterday, it's called the Edict of Milan, or the Edict of Toleration. And he said that no religions should be persecuted anymore. Anyone in the Roman Empire can practice whatever religion that they prefer to know and be persecuted. So he basically, that's like our Constitution, where nobody gets persecuted. That's why everybody wants to come live in America, because you won't get persecuted. You can believe however you want, live according to your conscience. So that was the very first time that there was a country that really had total religious freedom. It was under Constantine. And then Constantine took the Roman Empire. He became the emperor, and he moved the capital from Rome to and built a new city and named it Constantinople, which means Constantine's city. He named it after himself. And that became what's called the Byzantine Empire. And the reason it's called the Byzantine Empire is because the name of the town where he built the whole town, it was a small town, it was like a village, and he turned it into this huge, giant capital city with massive walls It still exists today, and beautiful buildings and racetracks. He built this, like, Constantinople is an amazing city. It's incredible. And so he built, which now today it's called Istanbul, because it was conquered by the Turks back in 1453. It was conquered by the Turks. And so Constantine moved the capital to there, and it became so now. And again, I say these things a little bit as a joke. Don't get annoyed if I say things in kind of a mocking or a joking way. If it's no longer in Rome, it's not the Roman Empire, right? You can't call it the Roman Empire if he moved it to Turkey. You know, that's where Constantinople is. It's in Turkey, right? So it's not the Roman Empire anymore. If he moves the capital from Rome, again, like, this is kind of basic common sense, right? If it's not in Rome, it's not the Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire really ended. The Roman Empire ended when he moved the capital to Byzantium, named the city Constantinople, but it was still known as Byzantium, and so that's why it was called the Byzantine Empire. And you can research that in history. The Byzantine Empire started with Constantine, and it continued for more than 1,000 years, the Byzantine Empire. So, so that was really the end of the Roman Empire. So what did he say? He said that, I'm looking to see where it says he is of the 8th. I guess I don't have that in the notes, where it says he is the 8th and is of the 7th. I guess that's not. Wait, maybe it's in verse 11 and we haven't read it yet. So let's go look at that. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. I have a common thing that when I prepare notes. Well, first of all, like, the notes are up here 10 years before I ever write them, right? But then I have this other problem that I prepare notes, and then it's all in my head even more ingrained because of my notes. And what I do is I have the notes, and I'm sharing my notes with all of you, and then I just got to get excited and I start talking. And I talk way ahead, and then I go back to notes, and I'm like, oh, I'm way back here in my notes, but I'm like way ahead in my talking. And it's because my notes are in my head, and I forget to look down and go step by step through the notes that I printed with you. So verse 11, I guess, is where we're at. It says, yeah, there it is. I was just about to say it, and I'm looking around. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. So he said there's 7 hills, there's 7 mountains, right? That can only refer to Rome, right? And he said the woman is that great city that reigneth over the kings of the earth. John is on Patmos. One of the most important things for interpreting the Bible, don't you forget this. One of the most important things for interpreting the Bible is, what did it mean to the people that it was written to? Now, you might say, I don't know what it meant to them. That's okay. There's a lot of things you read in the Bible and you don't know what it meant to them. So you can only figure out what it means to you. But there are a lot of passages in the Bible that you actually do know what it meant to them. You understand? And so if you know what it meant to them, don't make it mean something that it could never have meant to them. Does that make sense? So, like, think of us today. We're here living in Wisconsin Dells in 2024, and we're talking about something that happened here in Wisconsin Dells in 2024. And then, 2,000 years later, somebody finds, like, in the newspaper what we talked about. Now, can you imagine how bizarre they would be if they're like 2,000 years later? Now, what would these words mean to us today? No, it meant what it meant to us in 2024, right? If you read the newspaper, if you watch the news, right? It's what it means to us today. Now, it can have a meaning for them later, but it can't have a totally different meaning for them than it has for us today. Otherwise, we're completely changing the meaning. Does that make sense? So the Bible was written to people at a certain time, and he told certain things, God told certain things to those people. And if you want to understand the Bible, you can't say, well, what does it mean to me 2,000 years later? You have to say, what did it mean to them? And then you can also say, okay, now that I know what it meant to them, how would that apply to me? Not what does it mean to me, but how would that apply to me? That's a very important thing when you're reading the Bible. Otherwise, you're going to make the Bible make no sense, and you're going to get something out of it that God never intended you to get out of the Bible. Okay, you're going to spin something totally nonsense that's not real. So always remember that. However you apply it to yourself, it has to fit what it meant to them at the time. And it's just really, I shouldn't even have to say that, because it's so common sense logic that it was written to them. So it has to fit with what it meant to them. But we actually do need to say that, because unfortunately, Very often, people nowadays will open the Bible and just pick out a verse and just quote it as what it means to them and not think about what it meant to the people that it was written to. So we actually have to say that. We shouldn't have to say it because it really is common sense, but we do have to say it because common sense isn't that common. So, the beast that was, so verse 11, right? So there's 7 heads, right? So there's 7 kings. Well, first he said there are 7 mountains on which one sitteth. So to John, at the time, that's Rome, when he's writing. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, John's writing, so 5 have already died. 1 is, so that's 1 still alive, and he knows that's Domitian. And the other's not yet come. Now, John doesn't know who that king is. We can speculate that that's probably Diocletian, because Diocletian was an emperor who persecuted Christians. In fact, he did the worst persecution in all of Roman history, was Diocletian. But we don't have to be dogmatic about that. It could be a different emperor. There were other emperors that persecuted Christians, but Diocletian was the worst. Okay, so there's Rome, there's Nero, and then there's Domitian, and then Diocletian is considered one of the worst. So that's a future one. All right. Now here he's telling John, and the beast that so these 7 kings are all Roman emperors, in my opinion. Okay, most likely they're all Roman emperors. So if they're all Roman emperors, look what it says in verse 11. It says, "And the beast that was and is not." All right, so this is the Antichrist, the beast that was alive before the time of John, not alive during the time of John, right? The beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, right? There are only 7 heads, but the beast himself, not the heads, but the beast himself, because the 7 heads of the beast, it's all some symbolism, right? So the 7 heads are these 7 emperors of Rome. But the beast himself, he says, he's the 8th. Like, why does he have the 7 heads? Well, obviously, somehow he's connected to Rome. Somehow the Antichrist, in some way, is connected to the Roman Empire, or has some kind of a similarity to the Roman Empire. That's why he has 7 heads that are 7 Roman emperors. Okay? Even he is the 8th, and is of the 7. That's why he has 7 heads. He's of the 7. What does it mean he has of the 7? I don't know. All I know is that he in some way is connected to the Roman Empire, the Antichrist. The Antichrist is in some way connected to the Roman Empire. In some way he resembles the Roman Empire, even if it's just the fact that the Roman Empire controlled the whole world and was very powerful. So maybe that's the way he's connected. Or he may have some other way that he resembles the Roman Empire. I probably won't be here, probably. I believe the rapture happens in chapter 6, right? This is chapter 17. So I'm not going to be here during that time, but I will be watching from up there and be like, it'll be fun to find out if I'm right or not, right? So it's okay if I'm wrong, but it'll be fun to find out. I'll be watching. Is it going to happen like I said? Okay. So, and goeth into perdition. Now, that's important, isn't it? Like, God's already planned he's going to lake of fire, right? That's in chapter 19. That when the battle of Armageddon comes, the Antichrist and the false prophet, they're captured alive and they're thrown into the lake of fire. And then the whole rest of the army is killed with the sword that comes out of Jesus' mouth. But the Bible says he was and is not, and he'll send to the bottom of the pit and he'll go into perdition, right? And then here he says, the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, he's of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. Do you see how God's reminding us that the Antichrist is going into perdition? He's going to the lake of fire. He's going to be destroyed. God is going to win. The world's not going to win. The devil's not going to win. The Antichrist is not going to win. All right? The evil, wicked world we live in today, and all the plans and all the schemes, they're not going to win. God has it all planned out. They can't win. So, praise the Lord for that. We're on the winning side. Yes?
Okay, you were saying that the other people, that you just mentioned their names.
Yeah.
But all while you were talking about that, I was thinking about the verse in Acts, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?
Yeah.
Isn't he like one of those guys? Wasn't Saul?
Well, Saul is saved.
No. Before.
Yeah.
He was
You mean
Saul.
You mean he's like them because he persecuted?
He's Saul.
Yeah.
Okay, and he persecuted all of us. All right.
Yeah.
Now, God sees him, and he says, why do you persecute me?
Mm-hmm.
And he says something to the effect, well, gives an answer, and then now all of a sudden he's Paul.
Mm-hmm. His name was changed to Paul. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the question?
Well, the question is, okay, wasn't Saul just like the other guys that was, you said that they were the worst. So.
Talking about like Diocletian or the names
Yes,
that I gave.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, they were, but they didn't become Christians. But yeah, they persecuted. They actually persecuted way worse than Saul. So.
Oh, okay.
But those emperors, to my knowledge, never became Christians.
Okay,
So
that's
that would be
what-
the difference.
That's kind of like what my question was
Okay.
like, okay, he was a bad dude.
Yeah.
And, all right,
Well, there's hope for anybody.
now.
Anybody can be
Now
saved.
he's a Christian.
Yeah, yeah. That there are a lot of people who persecute Christians who do get saved. Yeah, but those
Okay.
particular emperors, to my knowledge, they didn't. But there, you are right that there's hope for anybody. So anybody can be a persecutor, and you can pray for him, and God can save that person.
Okay.
And that's happened many times. There are many like ISIS and Al Qaeda and Hamas people who have actually been saved.
That's
So,
what
yeah.
I didn't like understand, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. No, that is very true. There's hope for anybody. So in your notes, it's the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth. So in your notes, it's the word eighth. And the next word is the word of, and is of the seven. So he comes from the seven, and goeth into perdition. The Antichrist will be like the Roman emperors, but will appear at a different time than them. Verse 12 through 14, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest, let me read it here. 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest, so remember this beast that he saw, this Antichrist, right? And the woman is sitting on the Antichrist. There are 10 kings. So there's 7 kings, and then there's 10 kings. But those 10 kings are going to come later. Okay? They're not part of the Roman Empire. They're coming later. Okay? So it says, the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Okay? 10 kings. So there are 10 horns in addition to the 7 heads. Now we're told who the 7 heads are. The 7 heads are 7 different emperors of Rome. But now there are 10 horns, and the 10 horns are 10 kings that are going to come afterward. They're going to be alive around the time of the 8th, who is of the 7, right? Of the Antichrist, okay? And he says, these have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And look at verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb. That's the battle of Armageddon. He shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So the 10 kings are 10 world leaders that will join up with the Antichrist to fight in the battle of Armageddon. Okay? Now this is interesting. We don't care about the Antichrist. Who are these 10 other kings? They're not important. They're going to give their power to the beast. They're going to follow the Antichrist. They're going to support him. He's going to convince them all to go and fight in the battle of Armageddon. Okay? Here's a reason why these kings are important. Verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, right? So the whore, the prostitute of Babylon, she's sitting on all this water. The waters, well, the beast's on the water, but she's up on water. The waters, this is all symbolic. The waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Now think about it. The city of Rome actually reigned over all different nations, right? It wasn't just Rome. Like, for example, Turkey and Greece and Northern Africa and Gaul, which is France today, and Spain, right? And Britain. They controlled Britain. So these are all different languages, but the Roman Empire controls them all. So that's saying that this city that's going to come, right, that's going to be like Rome in the future, right, that is this city is going to be a city that reigns over, it says, and the woman thou sawest is that city that reigneth over the kings of the earth, right? So it's going to be a city that actually reigns over all kinds of groups of people and languages, right? Peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Again, in verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That sounds really horrible. these shall hate the whore, so it's the word hate there. And now remember, this is not a physical person. It's a city. Okay? And shall make her desolate, naked, shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So then the word is, in your notes, is the word hate and the word fire. And verse 17, for God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will. And so then it's the word will. To give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And then in verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is that great is in your notes, morning, that great city, and it's the word city, which reigneth, and the word reigneth over the kings of the earth. Okay, so that's Rome, right? Rome is the great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. So this is the part that's hard for us to comprehend. Like, trust me, I never understood this before until I started studying for this. If this prostitute is just a symbol of a city, the city of Rome, or some future city that's like Rome, right? It was the city of Rome at the time, but there's some future city that's going to be like Rome. Then she's riding the beast, right? They're connected. So the city and the Antichrist, they're all one, right? They're all one group. But then it says, and this is how prophecy works. See, God is in control. So something's going to happen that's different than people are planning, than people think is going to happen. So this city, we're going to read all about it in chapter 18, okay? Babylon is fallen. Babylon the Great is fallen. This city is a very powerful city. And this city is connected to the Antichrist. And this city says, nothing bad's ever going to happen to me. And it's a very wealthy, very powerful city, very immoral and wicked city. But God's going to cause the 10 kings, the 10 world leaders, to join up with the Antichrist and attack and destroy the city. And the city's going to burn up. And it says God put it in their hearts. So God's going to judge Babylon, this great city. It's very interesting that God has this plan to judge that city because of its wickedness. Because basically this city has persecuted Christians, right? It says in her was found the blood of the saints and let me see where it is here. Here it is, verse 6, it says, I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Blood of the saints, blood of the martyrs of Jesus. This city killed Christians, persecuted Christians, persecuted Jewish people probably too, right? And of course that was Rome at the time, and the Roman Empire did end up falling. But then there's this future city that's coming, that's going to be, are Christians being persecuted in the world today? Are Christians getting more and more persecuted in America? Or is the world headed more and more towards persecution? And I have a question. Are the Jews being persecuted?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So do you see, and everybody's turning on Israel. Everybody's like, free Palestine. What you see in the world is the world hates two groups of people. Christians and Jews. Those are the ones who always get persecuted. It's amazing. This was written 2,000 years ago. And today, all over the world, Christians are being killed. Christians are being persecuted all over the world. And so the whole world's going to join up, one world government. And the two people they hate, the two groups they hate, Jews and Christians, or people who follow Jesus. This is after the rapture, but these are people who decide to follow Jesus during that time. And probably the city was around before too, who knows. And so all I know is God is going to destroy and judge the city, listen, before Jesus returns, before the Battle of Armageddon. So somehow God is going to make these 10 kings decide that they hate the city. They're going to turn it on the city and destroy the city. God's going to use the kings. You know, God often uses one wicked group of people to destroy another wicked group of people. It happens all the time throughout history where Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Jerusalem, right? And on it goes. God will use one wicked, and then he'll judge that wicked group too. He does it all the time. And so, so Babylon is going to be destroyed. We're going to read about that in chapter 18, okay? Babylon is going to be destroyed. This great city is going to be destroyed. It's going to be judged. And all the people are going to be so upset and shocked that this amazing city that said nothing bad's ever going to happen to me, and you can just live for pleasure and this world is all that there is, and you don't worship God, and they would persecute Christians because Christians are speaking against the sins of the culture. That's why they get persecuted. This city, everybody's going to turn on this city. Those 10 kings, they're going to be from other places in the world. They're going to turn on the city, and they're going to destroy that city. And then they're going to say, okay, now it's time to go fight Jesus Christ at the Battle of Armageddon. And then they're going to be destroyed at the Battle of Armageddon. So that's how it's all going to pan out. And Jesus is going to come back. And he's going to win. And all the nations are going to have to serve him and obey him. So let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for this promise from your word. Father, what a wicked world we live in. Christians and Jews are being persecuted. But you have a plan for many people to be saved in the last days. And you have a plan for the Jewish people to be saved, Father. And you have a plan to judge the wicked city that persecutes your people. And you have a plan to judge all the kings in the world for their rebellion against God. Thank you, Father, for your perfect justice and for showing us the future so that we don't have to be afraid. We know everything is happening according to your plan. In Jesus' name, amen.